Your body was designed to move. That's why you have muscles, you have joints, you have places where you can bend, pick things up, walk, run, move your arms, move your legs. We were designed to move. It'd be pretty funny if we didn't have these places, right? Like, what if our arms didn't bend? We'd have to walk around and with, our arms out trying to get the right distance from things to pick them up. If we didn't bend at the waist, it'd be very hard for us to pick up anything off of the floor. If we didn't bend at the knees, we wouldn't hardly be able to sit down. It'd be very difficult to get into a sitting position and even more difficult to stay there. Our necks, everything moves, right, on our bodies, and it's designed to move. If we are still for too long, our bodies start to atrophy. Our muscles get smaller, our joints get stiffer. You think about people who are in the hospital that have to be in bed a whole lot. They end up with things like bed sores and then have a hard time even like walking to the bathroom because they get so stiff and weak. It weakens our heart when we don't move. We were just perfectly designed for movement. So exercise is always going to be a resource for us. It's always something that's going to help us feel healthier. It actually has a lot of benefits for our body, even just outside the physical. So let's talk about that for a minute. Here are some of the benefits that we get from our physical activity. It can help us maintain a healthy body weight, can lower our blood pressure, decrease the risk of heart disease, diabetes, certain cancers. Anytime we're moving, doing things, we're increasing our muscle strength and function. It can also improve our bone health and strength. But also, look, it promotes mental health. And along with mental health, it can promote emotional health. Exercise and movement is a great release for your body. Remember, we talked about that fight or flight, or the shutdown of our nervous system, for our nervous system to let go of some of that survival stress. Exercise is just a great opportunity to be able to do that. Also, reducing things like the risk for dementia and increases our brain health. So, what are some things that we can do to get more movement into our day? Notice I didn't say our bodies were designed for the gym. Gyms were man's idea to get more exercise in when we spend more and more time in front of our computers and, living sedentary lifestyles, especially in the workforce. Many people sit in a cubicle all day, right, and work on the computer. Doesn't allow for a lot of opportunity to do things that create movement. So, we invented gyms so that you could go somewhere where you have all of the necessary tools to be able to work some movement into your day. Before we had gyms, before we were all sitting at computers every day, people got plenty of movement. They didn't have to actually go exercise. They exercise just in living and surviving, right? Still, in a lot of countries, people get plenty of exercise throughout the day. They have to walk to go get their water. They have to haul it back. They have to take care of their animals, do chores, all the necessary things to keep their lives moving and keep themselves surviving. The average amount of exercise that is recommended is 150 minutes per week, or that's of moderate physical activity, something like walking or light aerobic activity, or 75 minutes per week of vigorous physical activity, like if playing a sport or doing hardcore cardio or something like CrossFit, things like that would be considered vigorous physical activity. So we need to be getting that much movement into our weeks. But we don't need to overthink it, because exercise does not have to be boring. It does not have to be one of those things that you just get into a routine and a groove with. Exercise could be a lot of things. Movement is exercise. So we don't necessarily have to overthink what we're doing to exercise. As long as we're getting in that 150 minutes a week of moderate physical activity, we are keeping ourselves healthy. Now that's the baseline. So anything over that is always a plus, right? It's always a plus to add to that baseline. But we don't need to overthink it. We don't need to get into these modes where we're like, I got to go get a gym membership. I have to start exercising to get healthy, or I need to join a club, or I need to do this or that. All those things are good and they're great, but they're not for everyone. You don't want to hate your exercise. So everyone is different. Every body is different. Every unique personality is drawn to different things. I like to get my movement in Pilates type stretching things. My body is very sensitive to anything hardcore. So anytime I do any hardcore exercise, I feel just drained. It takes me a couple days to get over that, and I'll hurt in different places, not just a soreness, like an actual pain, things that they tell you to avoid when you're exercising. So my body just really doesn't like to do those hardcore things, and not because I'm lazy or I'm wimpy or anything like that. It's just the way that my body reacts to exercise. Now, as I'm healing, I'm getting a little bit more space for that and ability to do that. But right now, I have to really avoid that vigorous physical activity. So I try to get my movement in other ways. Like I have chores around the house. We have chickens, so I'm, doing stuff with them, running after them, cleaning out their coop. I also have 5 kids, so I'm on a regular basis. I'm doing some kind of physical activity during the day. I'm getting my movement in. I'm going for walks. Walks are one of my favorite ways to get in physical activity, and walks are a great, just moderate physical activity. You can do a lot of things on walks and use a lot of the resources outside of just the movement. So that's a really good thing for your body. But you may be like a person who likes to play a sport. If you join a sports team, you're getting probably great amounts of physical activity and movement. I know my son, he's picked up pickleball, which is a thing that the youth are doing these days. It's kind of a mix between tennis and ping pong, kind of an in-between sport. But he's picked that up, and he's constantly out playing that, getting lots of physical activity. I have another son that loves basketball, that plays basketball. My girls have a dog that they walk on a daily basis. They all get in chances to walk that dog or play with that dog or run around with that dog. If you have a pet, that's a great opportunity to get some physical activity. If you have children, great opportunity to get physical activity. Whatever you do, you want to find something that you don't hate, because the more you hate something, the more you're going to avoid it. Your body, your nervous system, all of that will just naturally work towards avoidance. And at some point, you'll just find yourself giving up on it. So find something that helps you to move, that you actually enjoy, or that you don't hate. You don't have to, enjoy having a lot of movement, but at least don't hate it. Also, don't overdo it. We don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to set ourselves back. You can end up exercising and end up with an injury that creates a problem for you exercising and moving at all. So you don't want to overdo it. I know lots of us talk about pushing our bodies to the limits. The marketing of exercise is like, push your body to the limit. That's all fine and good. We do want to be able to push ourselves a little bit, like outside of our comfort zone. But we don't want to go far from our limits. And we also want to recognize that all of our limits are different. Your limit is not necessarily going to be at the point where that Peloton rider is after they've ridden, for 5 years. They've been doing it for 5 years, and you get on it for 5 minutes and you're like trying to do their limits. That is not going to work for your own body. When you're exercising, you need to be very in tune to your body, your limits, how you're feeling, how hydrated you are. Let's talk about that. You need to be hydrated while you're moving, because any movement is using water in your body. And so you want to be constantly hydrating and replenishing, just getting into that habit. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to drink gallons of water. You don't want to overhydrate, but you do want to stay decently hydrated. So keep that in mind when you're exercising. Also, if you're going to be doing any kind of vigorous physical activity, even moderate physical activity, it is a good habit to get into stretch your muscles and your joints, and just get in a good stretch before you do any kind of physical activity. Good hamstrings, all those areas, especially any area on you that tends to be tight, you want to try to loosen up. If you have back problems, you want to make sure that you're doing exercises that are not going to further cause harm. You want those exercises to be good for your back. So do a little bit of research and find out what is the best exercise when you have issues, you have pain in a certain area. You want to avoid making that worse, because anytime we make that worse, it's like shooting ourselves in the foot, right? We're just going to end up not being able to move as much, which is not going to be healthy for us either, right? So we want to use this resource in a way that's going to help us and grow us and make us feel better and not worse. So be creative with your exercise, like we were talking before. Even like things, if you have children, take them to the playground and play with them on the playground. You're killing two birds with one stone in a sense. You're getting in two resources at the same time. You're connecting with your children and you're getting some movement in. Anytime you can combine resources, it makes them that much more powerful. You can connect your resources. Be creative with it. All right, supplies for exercising. Really, to exercise, you just need your body and a willing mind to get in there and exercise. But there's a couple of things that might be helpful to you. One of the things that I've found helpful, especially doing a lot of walking, if you're a runner and you like to go running, you want to get a good pair of shoes. You want your shoes to be able to cushion your body weight, because every time you walk, every time you run, you've got the whole gravity of your body weight coming down on your feet. So a good pair of shoes goes a long way. Put a little bit of investment into those shoes that you're going to be using for your exercise or your movement. Another good thing is electrolytes. Electrolytes, putting something in your water that contains like potassium and sodium. Potassium, sodium, and then H2O, water. That's the perfect combination to keep your body hydrated, because you don't just use water, you're using up your salt and your potassium when you're utilizing energy. So get some electrolytes in your water and help yourself out there. It's going to make you feel a lot better before and after you move. All right, the last thing that I've kind of put in the suggestions maybe is a fitness tracker. And the only reason I say this is not to get overly strict about your movement, but it can help you out to kind of see how much movement you're getting in a day, especially if you're not doing like a specific workout. If you're being more creative about your exercise, it might be helpful to be able to know, how many steps you've gotten in for the day. So anything that can track your steps would be good to utilize during your day. Most smartphones have step tracking on them. You just have to find it on your phone. So if you have your phone on you for most of the day, that can be helpful to track your steps and track your movement. You just want to make sure that you're getting in, that 150 minutes a week of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous. And you don't have to be, like I said, you can be flexible with that. It doesn't have to be right on the mark. And it's always better to do a little bit more, not too much more, because you don't want to overdo it. You always want to honor your limits, but you do want to make sure that you're at least meeting the standard, right, for good health. So anyway, try some of those things. I have attached some links below that might help with the supplies, some things, just some suggestions that you can check out. And then I also have a printout if you need a PDF version of the things on this. If you're really working on movement and exercise, that can help you remind you of some of these things that we've talked about in this video.